You finally get the look you want, and the image is completely overexposed. That's when you need an ND filter. Because instead of changing the settings that you actually wanted, an ND filter cuts the light for you. The easiest way to see that is with the aperture. Let's say you want to shoot at f4 for a softer background and better subject separation. But outside in daylight, that can easily be way too bright. So without an ND filter, you may end up at f16 or even f22 just to make the exposure usable. The edges get softer, but in a bad way. The image feels flatter and lacks this depth of cinematic film. With an ND filter, you can cut the light without giving that up. Unfortunately, I made this mistake in the beginning and I shot all my footage at f16 to f22, and now looking at it, it was horrible. And the same idea applies to the shutter speed. In my previous video, I explained why shutter affects motion, so I won't repeat that here. But once you already know what shutter you want, ND filters are what lets you keep it in bright daylight. So the real benefit here is the control. ND filters also come in different strengths. You will usually hear about them in stops, for example 3 stops, 6 stops, etc. And the more stops a filter has, the more light it blocks. So a 3-stop ND gives you a moderate amount of light reduction, and a 6-stop gives you much more. And if you need even more, you can combine those filters together, so you are not locked into using just one filter strength. Okay, but how do you know what strength you actually need? A simple way to think about it is this. Keep your ISO and shutter where you want them. Then see how much you're forced to close aperture just to make the image usable in daylight. Because every full aperture step is one stop. So if you want to shoot at f4, f5.6 is one stop darker, f8 is 2 stops, f11 is 3, and so on. You don't have to guess blindly, just see how far daylight pushes you away from the settings you actually want to use. So if you notice that you are usually 3 stops too bright, and 3-stop ND filter is a very logical choice. If you are not sure if you should choose the stronger or the weaker filter, I think that it's better to choose the weaker one, because then you can always fix it a bit with the aperture, but not too much. And when you choose the stronger one, it can be too dark in most of your scenes, and then you will have a problem. But the strength is not the only thing that you have to choose. There are 2 main types of ND filters: fixed NDs and variable NDs. A fixed ND has one set strength. A variable ND lets you adjust the strength by rotating it. Now, variable NDs are definitely more flexible, especially if the light changes quickly. But the cheaper NDs can also introduce some image issues, for example color shifts or strange X patterns, especially in the sky. Personally, I use a fixed Hoya HDMK2 filters in 3 and 6-stop versions. And honestly, fixed NDs are usually not a problem for the way I shoot. A lot of the time, the lighting stays fairly similar for most of the day, or at least similar enough that I can keep one filter on for a long time. So for example, if I'm filming in fairly consistent daylight, I can often use something like a 3-stop ND for most of the shoot, and it just works. And this is not just useful on the bigger cameras. ND filters can help you on everything, whether you shoot on a cinema camera, a GoPro or a phone. Because the problem is always the same: too much light forcing you away from the image you actually wanted. Of course, if your light changes constantly, a variable ND can be more convenient, but a fixed ND is often much more practical than people think, and for me it's reliable, simple and consistent. One more practical tip. I also use step-up rings, so I can keep one filter size across different lenses, instead of buying multiple versions of the same ND. I'll also leave the links in the description to all the gear and filters that I use, in case you want to check it out. If you want to go deeper into the art of filmmaking and learn something new, check out this video next. And if you liked it, leave a like and subscribe, it really helps. Thanks for watching, and remember, let your films be shot by reality.